Ms. Mccrory, you and your husband claim the defendant's ex-husband, Mr. Gino Bailey, who recently passed away, fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Nevaeh. You say you will return to court to fight for your share of Social Security death benefits after today's test proves he is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Smith, you and your daughter say it would be medically impossible for your ex-husband to be the child's biological father and state the Mccrorys are in this only for the money. Ms. Smith, how can you be so sure that your ex-husband isn't the father of Miss Mccrory's baby?
Because she's in it for the money. That's
really
all she wants is the money.
Why do you say that?
This is the proof of the survival benefits that my daughter...
I'd like to see that. Will you pass that to me, Ron?
Well, the thing is, I believe I have every right to the money. Because if he's the father of her, I know 100% he is, and he should support her. Go.
But you understand that Ms. Smith nor Ms. Mento, they don't have anything to do with how the Social Security office divvies out death benefits. You understand they are not in charge of that.
Yes, I do.
If she believed that my late ex-husband was the father of her child, why didn't she get a DNA test before he died? Why did she wait until after he died and then 2 days later messaged my daughter and asked for her to give a DNA test?
So you're saying the timing of this is off?
Yes,
So
I do.
that's a good question, Ms. Mccrory. Why did you wait?
I didn't wait. I heard when I was with her father, Gino, he actually wanted to take a DNA test, but he wouldn't because of his current girlfriend he was with, because she didn't want him involved with me. I know that he's the father to my child because he's the only one I'm sleeping with. So she has a right to the benefits. He should support her.
He can't support her if he's dead.
I believe that all
Ms.
she
Mento?
wants is the money.
I
Yeah.
see this is upsetting.
Okay.
It's hard to hear people talk about your dad and the fact that he may potentially have another child, Ms. Mento.
I really don't care if she is my sister. I won't have nothing to do with it. Because I had 19 years and I want to remember my father the way he was, being his only little girl.
Yes.
When I spoke to my father, he told me that it wasn't his. He said there's no possibility, she looks nothing like him.
And then you chose to believe your father. That's what
Yes,
you were
I believe
told.
my father.
Okay. In your court papers, you also say that it is medically impossible for Ms. Mccrory's child to be your sibling. How is that the case? Explain it.
He had a medical condition that was to do with the XY chromosome. If he had gotten someone pregnant, it could end up as a miscarriage.
Bob,
Okay.
that's what you said. You told me he cannot have kids
Will
at
you
all.
let me speak, please?
Well, you're lying.
I'm not lying. I have the proof right here.
All right, let me see this paperwork. Ron, can you pass
This
it
is
to
the
me,
proof
please?
from the chromosome specialist
Your Honor.
Two different
from where I live,
stories.
in Massachusetts, where I'm from. It took me 3 years to get pregnant with Sierra when I was married to my late ex-husband.
Okay.
Miracles do happen.
Okay? They have called
So
Sierra
stupid.
a miracle baby. She has inherited the same chromosome as he had. This is the reason why she is having a hard time conceiving. We told her that he had a medical chromosome condition.
You did not.
And she sat right there and called us a liar, that it wasn't true.
So you're saying you did inform her?
She was informed
Because
about
let's
it.
be honest, if in fact this, Nevaeh is in fact his biological daughter, the same issue your daughter has inherited, she potentially could have
Exactly.
inherited.
Exactly.
So the stakes are even higher here. There's the paternity issue. You're saying there's also the survivor's benefits issue, potentially. And now there's a medical condition at issue.
She might not have known of the medical issue at that point when she was with him, but we, both my daughter and I, told her about it, and she called us a liar.
So,
It's not, because I'm going by what he told me.
Ms. Mccrory, let me, we've had a lot of talk about the deceased. I have to ask you this. During that window of conception, that time, were you intimate with anyone else?
No. Up until I was intimate with him from August until November.
And there was no one else in the
2011.
picture? Do you remember the night you believe you conceived?
Yes. I mean, it was brown sheets with flowers and everything, and we did it like all night long, 3 times.
That I could guarantee.
Well, you know what?
didn't do.
You must not know. Maybe you weren't good enough then.
I was married to the.
Okay, hold on. And let's keep the
butt.
testimony respectful. So you believe that was the time you
Yes.
conceived? And shortly thereafter, that's when you found out you were pregnant and informed?
Yeah, after we kind of like drifted apart because I wasn't gonna be with a male whore. I'm sorry to say it that way, but that's what he was.
And one of his relatives even said growing up, they called him male gigolo. And there's even another child saying that he's her father out there.
Yeah, now that he's dead.
No, it was
she's
still
always
said
said
when
that
she,
to me.
she's always said it when he
But
was
you know
alive.
what? We're not here to discuss anybody else. We're here to discuss your child.
Yeah, my
You know
child.
what? You're making my late ex-husband turned out to be
That's what
some
he-
kind of idiot, but in
No, he's
reality,
really not. No,
I know
honestly,
you're
he's not.
lying.
He was a good man.
That's why you called him a man whore.
Well, that's what he is.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So, Ms. Smith, who do you believe the father is?
I
do
think
you
it's
know?
her husband, Mr. McCrory.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh, wait a minute. You believe that the
God,
child's real biological father
pissing me
is
off.
her current husband, Mr. McCrory, and you believe this is a plot. This is a
I would've put it
conspiracy
past her.
I wasn't
between the
even
two of them
with her.
to try to get the survivor's benefits.
The whole situation is that my late ex-husband is very dark-featured. His daughter, very dark-featured.
Really?
Okay,
Seems white to me.
I think Nevaeh looks like Mr. McCrory.
Ms. McCrory, who's on the birth certificate?
My husband.
Oh,
I can explain
okay,
why.
So why?
I know, I can explain
Do
why.
you have the birth certificate with you? I'd like to
Yes, I
see
do.
that.
Yeah, we do.
Ron, let me see this birth certificate.
I took responsibility because he didn't want to. He said that he was
Because I
about
was his
to
one
get
and
rid
only.
of.
You're not his one and only. He said that I don't want to be involved because my daughter's gonna be 18 and I have to pay child support, and I don't want to pay again.
I
He
wasn't
had to pay
18.
child support till she was 21 years old.
He said 18 to me.
No, it was 21.
Well, that's what he told
was-
me.
All right, ladies, let's get some control. This is the certificate of live birth. The child's name, Nevaeh McCrory, and father's name is listed as your current husband, Keith McCrory. Now, Mr. McCrory, you said you stepped up to the plate because he didn't want to.
Yes.
Obviously.
So by the time the child was born, you were married to Miss McCrory, or you all were dating?
We were dating. He knew that he was the father because there was several times I met him in a drugstore and ran into him, and he's sitting there saying that, oh, she's got my eyes, and smirking at me. Oh, she's got my fangs. She looks just like me. And he actually texted my wife at the day of birth and said, congratulations, and can I see her?
Really?
Yes.
He did.
And you saw this text?
Yes,
Yes,
he
I
did.
did.
He was with us the day
He-
your daughter was born.
He texted me on my cell phone.
And why would a man want to step up to be a father of someone else's father that was
He's not
well and
the
alive?
father.
Yeah.
When I got with my,
Are you stupid?
Obviously.
I went to every doctor's appointment. I went to the ultrasounds, and then I was basically with her for the whole pregnancy, which she wasn't. And so I fell in love with that child, and I'm going to be with her for the rest of my life and get married to her. So why not take responsibility for somebody who couldn't? He denied.
You just wanted to step up to the plate for a child born to the woman you love and you plan to spend the rest of your life with.
Yes, why-
So you thought you were doing the right thing.
Yes.
Now, Mr. and Ms. McCrory, you are so convinced that Ms. Mento's dad is the father that you submitted some photos.
Yes, Shauna.
On the left, we have photos of Nevaeh,
His fangs and her fangs.
and then on the right, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
No resemblance.
And they're in the same spot and everything. The eyes, they're big, huge. They got the
They're
same
not-
setting.
Her eyes are bigger than his.
So the court obtained photos of Nevaeh, she's pictured
look
on the
just alike.
left,
No, they don't.
and Miss Mento
Okay.
as a child on the right. Do you see a resemblance there?
No.
Yeah,
No.
different hair color, but the facials, the nose, the mouth, it
No.
looks just like.
You're gonna say no because you don't want it to be true.
No. I'm not going to sit
That's
here
what
and
it is.
lie. If she looked like my daughter, I'd say she did. I don't believe she does.
The fact is she's still in love with him, and she can't see anybody else with him, sleeping with him, or
He
anybody
actually
else
told me
having
that
a
once.
child.
How you're all still in love with him, always bugging him.
She'll always
You know
be in
what?
love with
Something.
him.
He
She
was
has
my
a child.
true love and my only love. Okay? He never even liked you.
Well,
I was
he
the
must
one
have liked
that
me to
stared
want
at
to
him.
sleep with me.
She has done nothing but harass my daughter
Nope.
for 2 years.
Nope.
And I have some proof from,
yeah.
we made a memorial.
That's what I want to see. Is some proof.
We made him.
Ron, let me have that proof. What
we
is
made
this
a
proof
memorial
of,
page in
Ms.
honor
Smith?
of him when he died. So they decided to go onto the memorial page and message the administrators, which is me, myself, and my son-in-law. And this is just some of the stuff that they text or wrote to me.
So you put up a memorial page.
I'm the one that made it.
You did for your dad once he passed away. And then you got messages that said from the Mccrorys, listen, you're not daddy's only little girl, newsflash.
We've had-
And a message that said, don't worry, you'll meet daddy's girl soon. Hope you're a good big sister.
Yeah, that's
Why would you put this up on the memorial
that's
page?
just, I put it up there because, it's just saying,
No.
I can't wait for her to meet her sister. And,
No,
I want other
why don't
people
you
to
say
know
the
that
truth?
that's
No, this did not have a good intention.
And
Let's not pretend.
And there's
hold
been-
on. Now I want to hear the testimony, but don't feed me.
I need
Listen, that does not say Boo Boo the fool. You did not put this on that page with any good intention.
But see, this is the thing.
So why do that to her after her father passed away?
We've been harassed for 4 years. She would make fake profiles of my wife and my stepdaughter.
So in other words, you're doing this to get back at her.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna get angry.
Right, so don't testify in the beginning that you were doing it because you were so happy for her to meet her little sister. That's a lie. Just tell the truth from the get-go. You think I can't sit here and see that this has been years of back and forth drama between you all? So all I'm saying is, don't feed me a bunch of lies like I'm gonna believe that when you know good and well you had no good intention behind sending that. Just say, we've been on a Facebook social media war and I wanted to get back at them. I might not like it, but at least I know it's not a lie.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm done with this. Ron, give me the results.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to this. Fake profiles, fake. Everybody fake. No, really.
They are.
This is just a mess. There is a child, a 3-year-old child, that has no clue who her father is. And if Mr. Bailey is her biological father, he's deceased.
Let him.
We got bigger fish to fry than this nonsense. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. Ms. Smith, you have testified today that you believe Mr. Mccrory is in fact Nevaeh's biological father.
Yes.
We had him tested. In the case of Mccrory v. Mento Smith, when it comes to 3-year-old Nevaeh Mccrory, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Mccrory, you are not the father.
Thank you.
Told you.
Are we ready for the next result?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, because there wasn't a blood card available to test the DNA of the deceased, Gino Bailey, we perform what's called a sibling test in order to determine if Nevaeh Mccrory is the sister of Sierra Marie Mento. Both Rose Marie Mccrory and Tina Marie Smith were also tested in order to determine if there is a viable relationship between Nevaeh and Sierra Marie. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Moving forward with the results in the case of Mccrory v. Mento Smith. Moving forward with the results in the case of Mccrory v. Mento Smith. It has been determined by this court that Nevaeh Mccrory and Sierra Marie Mento are not related.
Yes.
Told you.
Yes, told you.
Now we're both even.
Now the harassment can stop.
Yeah, well, then maybe you better find out who your baby daddy is.
Baby!
Miss Mccrory? Yes. Why don't you look surprised? I read the result, and honey, you just flipped that page right on to the next and went to arguing over it, Miss Smith. Now, you testified here for a good 30 minutes of my time that there was no other possible father in the world. When I read the results, moving on, I have to ask you, do you know who your child's father is?
I know who, but I'm not saying in here.
You don't have to tell me the name. I just want to know if you know.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important.
But I'm not saying it.
I'm happy if this whole situation with Nevaeh and her real biological father can be solved in the living room instead of the courtroom. Trust me, we're here as a last resort. We are here for families who need us because they can't get down to the bottom of the situation without us. That's what we do here. But if you can leave out of this courtroom and dial that man's number and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, I have some information, and you all never have to come see me, thank you, Lord. Mr. Green, you claim that the defendant repeatedly cheated on you during your marriage with both men and women.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state you have every reason to doubt that you are one-year-old Keegan's biological father because of Mrs. Green's sexual track record.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you've petitioned the court for a paternity test.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Green, you say Mr. Green wasn't ready to be married and that he was the promiscuous one.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that you stepped outside of your marriage only when he left to be with other women.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, Mr. Green, why do you have doubts that baby Keegan is your biological child?
I mean, she used to leave me in the house, like, for numerous amounts of time. Like, she'd tell me she'd go into the store for, like, an hour. She'd be gone for, like, 2 or 3 hours, then get back. I asked her where she'd been. Like, she just been to her girlfriend's house. To her girlfriend's house can mean really her boyfriend's house, or both. Like, who knows? You know what I mean?
What if the store was just crowded?
I don't think Burger King at 10 o'clock at night is crowded until, like, 1 in the morning. So this is what made me, like, not want to be with her. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I did leave, the first time I did leave, I was going to see my other child.
But when he left to see his other child, I did not even know he was gone. Someone called me at work and told me that they dropped him off at the bus station. If I'm supposed to be your wife, why you didn't tell me you were leaving, whether it was to see your child or whatever, you could have said you were leaving.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
You don't know if it's accurate or not? Don't play.
I really can't.
Don't play.
I can't recall.
Can't recall.
He can't recall.
Can't
Of course
recall.
not.
Okay. So give me some other reasons why you have doubt, Mr. Green.
Okay, and then there was another time where, like, I flew back from Atlanta. Like, we said we was gonna get it together. You know what I'm saying? I flew back from Atlanta, came in the house,
where he left
chilling.
with another woman in Atlanta. Tell the whole story.
We was broken up. You already had another child by somebody else.
Okay.
So what you mean?
Yes, ma'am, I did. And he would have also had another child during that point. If
Allegedly.
still another child.
Allegedly. That wasn't mine.
There is still another child that is possibly
What kind of marriage is this?
A circus.
A circus.
Let me get this together. You're married. So you
Basically.
always suspected stuff was going on?
Yeah, she already told.
Even when you were together?
I found the condom wrapper on the floor. Like, one time I came home or whatever from being, like, out or whatever, out of town or whatever, I came, it was a condom wrapper on the floor.
How long were you out of town for? Where were you at when you were out of town?
I was in Atlanta.
Right, in Atlanta, right.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta.
With who?
With my son's moms. But we wasn't together.
So what are you talking about then?
But still, I found the condom wrapper on the floor. You smutty.
Okay, let's get this straight. Were you in Atlanta with your son's mother, or were you in Atlanta visiting your son? There's a difference.
I had it out there, and I was,
He
going
was
here
in
and going
Atlanta
there.
living with his son's mother. While they were in Atlanta, she became pregnant again. What Key's over here talking about condom wrappers
true.
and all that
That's
other
not true. She
stuff,
got pregnant
that
in
was
North
while he
Carolina.
was gone. At least somebody has sense enough to be using condoms.
Okay,
Now,
so
when I seen
let's
the
get
condom wrappers-
focused here. Let's get focused. I want to get to the child in question.
Okay.
You have doubts
Yes, ma'am.
whether this child is yours
Yes.
because of Mrs. Green's actions. So you've got doubt.
Yes.
When do you learn she's pregnant?
2 weeks after I came back from Atlanta.
So, Mrs. Green, let
somebody
me
else.
ask you. He's away in Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are on another break.
That's what you call it. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what to call it either.
Yeah.
I thought it was a marriage, but it doesn't sound like one.
No.
So he comes back. You admit that you had been sleeping with other men and women and having your own fun while he's gone.
Yes,
because you all are apart. He comes back and then you're pregnant. You tell him you're pregnant.
He was back for like a month before I found out I was pregnant. I had not been with anyone during the time that this child was conceived besides
Oh, really?
him.
Somebody wasn't calling your phone?
So,
old boy wasn't keep calling your phone?
do you get pregnant through the phone? Anyway, like I said, I hadn't been with anyone during the time that this child was conceived besides him.
You are certain
Yes,
that
ma'am.
during that time, even though you'd had sex with other men and women, during this time when this child was conceived, you were only sleeping with your husband?
Yes, ma'am. And I don't know what women have to do with anything because none of them definitely got me pregnant. So that don't even have nothing to do with what's going on, really. But
No, it don't, but I'm going to explain
Mr.
why.
Green, you say there are rumors you heard that she was with other people.
Yes, there's rumors that I heard she was with other people. My cousin, them telling me that she be on the barbershops all the time, messing with this one, messing with that one. You know what I'm saying? She
Now,
please.
all of this was happening during the time the baby was conceived?
Yeah, this is all around the same time, yes. This is all around the same time. We was partying, yeah, we was partying, having a good time.
Together.
Or whatever, together. Yeah, we was partying,
Right.
having a good time together. But at the end of the day, I was about you, and that was that. You was about everything else. I didn't want
Okay.
none of that. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? That was something
You
that
didn't
you
want it.
wanted.
That's
That's
why
something you brought the
participated
milkshake
in
to the
it.
yard. I
Right.
did not.
Okay.
You did.
All right, cool. He's saying if you don't want something, you're supposed to be a grown man. You say, no, we're not going to do this, or I'm just going to leave, correct? You don't participate.
So, Mr. Green, are
That's
you
what you do, right?
accusing Mrs. Green for getting you involved in activities that you wouldn't otherwise
Yeah, this
be
mom.
involved in?
I never was involved with no,
I
you know
turned
what I'm
a grown
saying,
man into a
swinging
sinner.
stuff. No, to a grown man to a sinner. I ain't saying I ain't a sinner, nothing like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
But that was my first like sexual experience with two females and all that. She asked for all of that.
He was
that
there,
was her
though.
people's.
He
that
was
was her
there.
homegirl. Who does that?
He was
You know what
there.
woman brings another woman into the situation, into the equation?
So
That's
now
what she wanted to do.
you two,
And I
as a
ain't even
married
I ain't even like
couple,
the female. Like I
during
ain't
the
even like the
time-
Oh, he
side
didn't like
wife.
that female,
Yeah.
but he liked
Well,
what
you don't
at
like
work.
advocate.
Let's
like
get some
what?
order. Hold on one second, because I'm trying to understand this mess. You come back home, and within 2 weeks to a month, your wife is pregnant.
Yes.
But during this time, you've heard rumors that she's sleeping around with other
It was
people.
a female. She actually brought a female into the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like she brought
Well, she's not gonna get pregnant by a woman. I hate to break that to you. So
No, I'm kidding.
we need to understand what men have you heard.
No. I'm gonna get back to the female part if I can
No.
elaborate.
You're gonna get back to the part I need to understand because a female cannot impregnate anybody, and this is paternity court. So we need somebody to be a father.
Well, I am a father. I'm the one that got him now. I got him now. I've been having him for the
What
last.
man are you accusing her of sleeping with during the time this child was conceived? What man are you accusing her of sleeping with during the time this child was conceived?
She told me she was sleeping with somebody else. She told me that. She told me she could be pregnant with him.
Okay.
She told me she could be pregnant by him. That's the whole situation.
All
She
right,
told
that's
me-
why you
Yeah,
have
that's-
your doubt.
Yes, she
So,
told me.
Mrs. Green,
Yes,
did
ma'am.
you tell your husband that while you were gone, I was sleeping with another man and that man could potentially be the father of this child?
Yes, I did admit to having relations with someone else during the time that he was gone, but I never said it was a possibility that he was my child's father. No, ma'am. He has double standards. Everything's cool as
I
long
don't
as
have
it's
no
going
double
his
standards.
way.
Why are you lying?
But
You told me that. You told me that you was pregnant. You told me that you might be pregnant. Like before
Okay.
you told me you might be pregnant by somebody else. You told me that. Before
Really?
I even flew back there. Yes, you did.
Okay.
You told me that.
Okay, you just now saying that she told you that she may be pregnant before you ever flew back from Atlanta?
Yes, Shauna.
But you said before that she told you 2 weeks after
thank you.
you got back.
That's
So
when she told me she was pregnant. I mean, she told me this will happen. She told me like I might be pregnant or whatever the case is. Came back home.
Before you came?
Yeah, came back home. She supposedly had her period. Then like a week later, she's
How
saying
do you
that she's
supposedly
pregnant.
have a period?
Supposedly,
Weren't you
could have
there?
been faking. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Okay, it's your testimony that she said she may be pregnant before, and then by the time you got back home a couple weeks later, she announces, I am in fact pregnant.
Yes, and it just was suspicious to me. I didn't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like we chilling, we hanging. You know what I'm saying? Then like you pop up a week, 2 later, I'm in town that you pregnant all of a sudden, and you was just telling me prior to that you know what I'm saying, that you might be pregnant. So I'm like, yeah, I'm giving me doubts, and plus I know how you get down. I know what people saying about you in the street, so I just want to know for sure.
Okay,
Like, I take
so
care
I want
of
to
him
bring
and all
up
of
your
that
witness.
still.
Mr. Concepcion, please stand at the podium. So now, what do you have to say about this mess and Mrs. Green. What do you have to add?
Listen, basically, she turned up. They both turned up, but she extra turned up.
I believe I want you to explain to me in respectful language, if possible,
Okay.
what turned up means.
Basically,
Enlighten me.
no holds barred. Everything is a go, basically.
Sexually.
Everything is a go, yes.
Understood. Multiple partners.
Vegas in the bedroom.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So what are you saying about Mrs. Green? What do you know?
I mean, once he told me that she was
Nothing.
pregnant and he was bouncing back and forth, you know, I got friends all over the place. I got cousins in Charlotte. They be bouncing back and forth. My cousin got a house in Jacksonville. So I gave him a call, and I'm just like, you know, just asking Joe GP to see, you know, if she ringing like that, like he claimed, you know what I mean? I want to see what's going on. So I call my man. I'm like, yo, listen. I'm like, you know what? Before I can even finish saying Whitney, he like, who? I'm like, Whit. He like, who? I'm like, Whit. He like, no. I'm like, oh.
And that reaction means turned up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she turned up. Yeah, she turned up.
All the way up. You know, turn up.
Basically.
I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Mr. Concepcion, thank you for that very colorful testimony.
Yes, colorful.
You may be
very.
seated. Now, Mrs. Green, you find out you're pregnant. You know in your heart
Yes, ma'am.
that you're pregnant with your husband's child.
Yes, ma'am.
But can you see, because of the distance and because of the fact that you openly admit that you were having other sexual partners, both men and women, while you were apart, do you understand why he could have some doubt?
Yes, but I don't think there's a reason for you to say because you were only home for 2 weeks. Does it take 2 weeks to get pregnant? Like anybody with common sense knows it only takes having sex one time to get pregnant.
Yeah, you
the
had
amount
sex
of
one
time
time where you had
doesn't
sex with
matter.
1,000, like, now,
it doesn't
there's
matter.
Your
1,000
issue
people,
is
it don't
not,
matter. So
you
so I'm
can
just a
say,
lucky
look,
one.
you're allowed
I'm
to
the
have
lucky
the
one.
doubt if you want to have the doubt.
I don't care. He can doubt whatever he wants to doubt as long as he take care of my son.
So, Mr. Green, in a nutshell, you believe Mrs. Green is promiscuous? You've
I know
heard
she
stories
promiscuous, yeah.
about her. You have doubt as to whether or not this child is yours,
Yes, that's-
based upon that.
Yes, ma'am.
Besides the fact that your wife admitted that she was sleeping with other people, she's saying she's certain during the time this child was conceived that she was only sleeping with you. Are there any other reasons that you have reason to doubt this child is yours?
The
Do
doubt
you feel like the child looks like you?
No, I don't think you
Look at the baby's nose. Their mouth is open the same with the same dun-dun look on their face. Like, come on now. But my baby don't look like
He
you.
looks like a typical black male. Like, come
Oh,
on.
you do too. Imagine that.
Yes, and you've
So
been
let's just
and you've been
answer the
sleeping
paperwork, so we
with
don't even have to
typical
worry
black
about it.
men. And you've been sleeping with typical black men.
I wish
so
I
come
could
on.
say that child belonged to somebody else because he's an idiot.
You don't see
I
any
wish I could.
resemblance here?
No, I really don't. No, I really don't. For sure.
Okay, husband and wife, let's hear from the defendant's witness. Please step up to the podium, Ms. Gant. Thank you for joining us. What would you like to say about this situation?
Well, me and Whitney have been friends for a very long time, when, not too long after they got married, probably about 2, 3, maybe 4 days after they got married, she called me crying and she was like, my husband left. This is 4 days after you get married. Now,
not no
for
4 days.
your witness to say, when you get married so you don't have to chase people, you've been chasing and running from the beginning. And I've always remained, I personally, because I've been a part of all this, I have to hear the cries. I hear the tears. I've heard both sides of the story. And I try to stay in the middle of everything. But honestly, it comes down to, like I've told him, like I've told her, it's not about you, it's not about her. If y'all want to be together, be together. If you don't want to be together, don't be together. At the end of the day, there are children involved in this that have genuine emotions for the both of y'all. Her children love him just like anybody else. His children love her just like anybody else. It's not about them. It's about the children. And all this back and forth, words after words after words, calling her outside her name
Ms.
and all
Green,
this is in front of the children.
I'm looking at you right now, and you seem very emotional.
I am, because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I've been through so much with him that isn't relevant to this case. That isn't even relevant.
Speak, Mr. Green.
That isn't even relevant to what's going on right now. When I married this man, he had a child on the way. But I loved him and I wanted to be with him. I had to deal with him. I had to deal with him going back and forth.
You had a child already. What you mean?
And he already had a child too. Like I said, I loved him, so I married him regardless. But I never feel like I was truly ever respected as his wife from day one. It was always his kids over me, or what his family thought over me, or what his friends thought over me, whatever. He never got a chance to try to get to know me because he didn't stay around long enough to do so. I just want all this to be over with so I can carry on and have a normal life. That's all I want.
Okay, now it's time for the DNA results. Jerome, do you have the envelope?
There you go.
The DNA results were prepared today by DNA Diagnostics. In the case of Green versus Green, as it relates to 1-year-old Keegan Green, Mr. Green, you, in the case of Green versus Green, as it relates to 1-year-old Keegan Green, Mr. Green, you are the father.
Now turn up to that. Turn up now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know. That's all I want. I don't know why you all mad. Like, come on. You shouldn't be surprised.
I'm not surprised, are you?
You shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised that I say something.
I don't even care. I don't even care. It's okay. I just need my paperwork.
Let's get some order. I see a lot of nonsense in this courtroom, things that I feel like I really can't believe my eyes. But you all have taken the cake today. I don't know what you all thought marriage was when you got into it, but you obviously had no clue. You all are over here supposed to be married to one another, sleeping with this person, sleeping with that person, and bringing children into this world within this mess. That's not acceptable. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna keep it really real, it's shameful. You got a lot of nerve to sit up here and actually be producing children when you can't even get your own lives together. Now, it is the order of this court that you all decide whether or not you're gonna be married or you're not.
We're not.
We ain't.
And that's fine. Well, then dissolve the marriage and learn how to parent together respectfully for the sake of the children. And stop being so messy. Court is adjourned.